This is a video on how to clear the clogged DPF on pretty much any diesel. This is in particular a 65 plate Toyota Verso with the BMW engine in. However, had I known it had a BMW engine in, I wouldn't have bothered buying it. But either way, this is how to clear the clogged DPF, and this would work for just about any diesel car at all. As long as you can get to the exhaust pipe through probably a temperature sensor like this one here, just before the DPF. So on this car, you've got the catalytic converter and the DPF, and that temperature sensor there is right between them, and it's in a perfect place to be able to inject the DPF cleaner. So the one I would recommend is the Manol DPF cleaner. I have tried some others, and with the Manol ones the foam is just that much more thicker, so it gets into the DPF and just coats all the surfaces inside it basically. Another one I tried was really wet, so when you put it in it would just collapse inside and it wasn't in contact with the sludgy soot for very long. Okay, so we're going to follow the instructions on the can here. So basically what we do is we use this straw through there, and we're only going to use about 2/3 of a can, because we will need the rest of it later on. But what you can also use, if you've used this before, is oven cleaner. I actually got this from a car boot sale for £1. But when you think about it, what is oven cleaner designed to do? It's designed to clear greasy, sooty mess. Well, that's exactly what we've got in a DPF. And having measured the pH on the two, the oven cleaner is actually stronger. So instead of paying 10 quid for a bottle of DPF cleaner, go down to your local car boot and pick up a can of oven cleaner for £1. So let's get on with it. So we're going to remove this temperature sensor. There we go. Quite difficult to do it one-handed. I have actually done this car previously, quite a while back. So we remove the temperature sensor, and then we have access to the DPF just there. So this time I'm going to save the DPF cleaner and just use the oven cleaner. Like I say, it is actually stronger, but the DPF cleaner straw is required. So unless you've done this before, you're going to need to buy the DPF cleaner so that you get one of the straws that goes with it. So we'll poke that in there. Get it down as far as it'll go. There we go. Okay, and now we're going to squirt a load of this in it. Sorry, I'm trying to do everything one-handed, obviously. Here we go. So we keep squirting this in. and this is what it's going to be doing inside the DPF. So as it foams up like that, it will be in contact with all the surfaces inside, so helping to break down any soot and grease. Now this is quite a strong alkali, so try not to get it on your skin, and just have a handy bottle of water with a 4.5 mil hole in the lid, which we will come to later. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. You can see it's starting to spunk out of that hole there. Yes, that's an engineering term. Well, it isn't. Well, I'm an engineer anyway. So now you can see all the soot and grease coming out of that hole. Looks like my sister's been cooking all that soot and grease. So the fact that we put that straw in a good 6-7 inches and now all the foam is squirting out of that hole tells us that the entire thing is filled with that oven cleaner. So I'm now going to give it 10 minutes just to take effect in there and dissolve all the sludge, and we'll come back to it a bit later. So about 10-15 minutes has elapsed and I'm just squirting a bit more into there now. So it's still oozing straight out as soon as I squirt the oven cleaner in. So it's obviously full inside there. So now we've got about a third of the can left. And it's coming out fairly clean. The trouble is, the thing that clogs DPFs more than soot is actually what they call ash. Now, the ash is not like ash in a fire, because again that's just soot, but the ash is the non-combustible, normally metal-based salts, whether it be iron salts or zinc-based salts, or even calcium or phosphorus-based salts. All the additives that they put in your fuel and in the oil, that's what basically makes compounds as it burns in the engine and makes what's called ash that clogs up the DPF. The trouble is, the regen, when the DPF gets up to like 500-600 degrees C to burn off all the soot, does nothing with the ash, because again it's non-combustible, so that just stays there, and eventually you'll end up where your DPF is clogged with ash, and doing a DPF clean doesn't actually do anything. So that's where the next step comes in, which I will do very shortly. So I'm quite happy with the fact that this oven cleaner has cleaned the inside of that DPF. And now what we'll do is we'll run the car for a little while just to push all of this through. We don't need to put the temperature sensor back in, we'll just let it blow out. Now, oven cleaner and DPF cleaner for that matter are both quite strong alkalis, so it will cause damage to your paintwork. So what we'll do, once I've run the car and blasted this through the exhaust, I'll put the half-litre bottle of water here. Yes, was Pepsi, now water. I'm going to squirt that into there using the same straw. Because the next step is we're going to put acid into the DPF. So, as I was saying, with the salts, these metal-based salts, any kind of calcium or anything like that, based salts that are in the DPF, the way we get rid of them is by dissolving them in acid. That's the most effective way. So what I'm going to use is, I bought this from Amazon online, and it's pool cleaning acid. It's the same stuff as brick acid, brick cleaner, that kind of stuff. So sodium bisulfate. It's extremely strong acid. So as it says there, danger, causes serious eye damage, keep out of reach of children, wear protective gloves, protective clothing, eye protection, face protection. And these warnings are not just health and safety gone mad. This stuff will blind you, so glove up. So now with the engine running, and that is important, don't do it without the engine running, because you could flood it and hydro lock the cylinders, which then leads to expensive engine damage. So with the engine running, I'm just going to squirt the water through into the DPF to rinse out all of the oven cleaner which I've just put in there, because the oven cleaner is a very strong alkali, and I don't want alkali neutralizing the acid which I'm about to be squirting in. So by having a small hole that the pipe just fits in through the top, as I squeeze the bottle, all of that water is squirted into the DPF. And with the pressure from the exhaust, it does re-inflate the bottle. Okay, so we'll just pull the screw up a little bit more, and then I'm going to use the entire half-litre bottle. Because we need to flush all of the alkaline oven cleaner out before we put the acid in, so it doesn't neutralise it. Otherwise there's very little point in what we're about to do. Incidentally, while I was waiting for the oven cleaner to do its bit, I've also checked the screen wash and topped up the air conditioning gas. I think there is a small leak on the air conditioning system, so going to the likes of ATS, which by the way, if you go through Groupon, you can get a deal for air conditioning regas for about 45 quid. They won't do it because there is a small leak in the refrigerant, so just buy yourself the cans from Amazon, and it works out a little bit cheaper if you've got the hose as well. So there it is. You can actually get a green can, which is leak stop solution, and that helps lubricate all the O-rings and seals in the air conditioning system as well. So it's well worth doing if you have a small leak in your refrigerant and you can't get it regassed without spending hundreds of pounds on investigations to find out where the leak's coming from and getting it fixed. Just get on Amazon, get yourself the top-up hose, that's about 12 quid, and the can of leak stop and refrigerant, they're about 50 quid for the pair, and just put that in. I've done it on my Honda and it's lasted about 2.5 years so far. Right, okay, so the bottle is now empty. I'm just going to put some acid in it now. So we can do it like that. So this is the pool cleaner and minus pH. Really strong stuff, so I'm going to put some gloves on. Not forgetting the goggles. If this stuff splashes in your eye, then good luck even finding your way to casualty. Okay, so we really don't need a lot of this pool cleaning acid in here. So he says as he probably tips off a fecking bottle in it because of the wind. There we go. That's probably about enough. We'll give it a little bit more. There we go. About that much. So basically about a teaspoon, a heaped teaspoon in there. So we'll just put some water in it now and mix it up. So as you can see, it hasn't mixed yet. We need to get that mixed up. So I'm going to pause the video for a minute and give the bottle a good shake. Okay, so that's the acid solution ready to go. So I'm going to fit the cap back on into the tube and get this squirted into the DPF. So here we go, and what will happen as I squeeze this bottle, I will feel the back pressure from the salts dissolving and fizzing in the DPF, and it will cause the bottle to reinflate quite vigorously. I think I need to get the straw in there a bit deeper because it's not fizzing as much as I would expect. Let's get that straw in there a bit further. There we go. You can tell how badly the ash is blocking the DPF by how vigorously the gas inflates the bottle from the fizzing. There is sometimes a bit of a delayed reaction, depends just where you've hit the DPF inside with the acid, whether it's actually hitting. There we go. So this one isn't actually that bad. I have done it in the past where basically the gas coming back from the fizzing of the salts dissolving is so ferocious that you cannot keep squeezing the bottle, it reinflates it forcibly. So I'm gonna do another round of that. I'm just gonna repeat it, I'm not gonna video that bit because you've seen it once. Okay, so I've just done another bottle of acid. I did that with hot water. Didn't really make much difference, so I'm pretty happy now that the DPF doesn't have much ash remaining in it. But because that was a strong acid, I'm now just going to flush it with water. So I've just rinsed the bottle out, put water in it, and now I'm going to flush the acid out in just the same way. So if we can get it in the hole, it's always been a problem. Oh yeah, there we go. And the acid will actually damage any stainless steel it comes into contact with as well, so that's why we need to flush it out. And what we're going to do after we've rinsed this out is we're going to use some of the DPF cleaner, because that is an alkali, to neutralize this acid, and to do that we're going to turn the engine back off. Because when you're using the DPF cleaner, you don't want it running. When you're using the acid, you do want the engine running. It's quite important. Whenever you're putting any fluid into the exhaust system like this, you need to make sure the engine's running so that it doesn't hydro-lock any of the cylinders. So I'm just going to use the entire bottle. Okay, so I've now put the straw onto the DPF cleaner, and if I give this a little squirt here, it'll kill this weed while we're at it. You can see just how thick that foam is, how long lasting it is. So it's not very wet like some of them. That will stay in the DPF like that and touch all the surfaces, a bit like a priest at the choir. So that'll touch everything and dissolve it nicely. And because I've actually measured the pH of the DPF cleaner, and this is pH 10. The oven cleaner is pH 14, and the acid is pH 0.8. It is that strong. So there we go, and it's starting to spunk out of the hole again now. So that's how we know it's had enough. The choir boy is full, and that will neutralise all the acid in the DPF. So we'll pull out. And while that's spunking out, I'm going to put this back in place, and then the DPF cleaner will also dissolve some of the carbon on there as well. And then we just nip it up. In case you're wondering, the tool I'm using here, the split spanner, so to speak, is actually a Halford's purchase, and with it you get 3 sizes. It's a 14 you need on this particular car, 14mm, but it comes with a 17, a 13, and also these types as well. I tend to find with these that those jaws just open up a little bit and slip round if it's quite tight. So there we go, guys. That is how you clean not just the soot but also any ash from the DPF. And I'm now just going to go and clear the codes on the car itself, but to do that I'll need to use my phone, which I'm currently using to video, so I won't be able to video that. Incidentally, these Top Don OBD2 readers, they're about 40 quid on Amazon. Absolute godsend. If you're using the cheap Bluetooth ones that you can get from China for about £1, what you'll find is that they only read about half of the modules on the car. So you could have an engine management light and wonder why, and it's because the Bluetooth OBD readers just aren't up to scratch. They don't talk to half of the modules. This one does. It talks to everything and gives you a full breakdown, and you can even do a PDF report. And like I said, they're about 40 quid on Amazon. Well worth the money.